Hey party people, and welcome back to MVM, and today I'm here with a review. That's right, a review of Deliverance. This is a game for 1 to 4 players. Now, this game plays in about 1 to 2 hours, just depending on player count and how much you want to get in there. Yes, this is a solo game and a cooperative game. And you're going to be fighting your angels, kind of like Angel Avengers pretty much, and you're fighting demons, and you are trying to fight off demons in this town, and you can do that like in a skirmish mode where you just fight all the enemies and then you fight this prince battle, or you can do it through a scenario where you're upgrading your characters, going through a story, and like doing all these really interesting little things to kind of upgrade the situation that you have and carrying it out throughout. The skirmish version actually kind of speeds that up, and you just kind of get like real awesome within a small game night type situation, and then you fight off the beast. So if you're a fan of like massive darkness or Cthulhu Death May Die, those types of games where you just kind of level up super fast, this is the type of game that we're talking about here. So how does it play? What's going on? Well, I'm going to talk to you about it, and you'll probably see some pictures and things that give you an idea of what's going on. So I'll just kind of start with the characters. In the game, you're going to pick a character. In the solo game, there's one guy, you pick your angel, and then you also have it's another character that kind of helps you with support actions. So you are simulating also having another angel with you. I prefer, honestly, to play with 2 angels minimum, because you're going to get to feel the awesomeness of having 2 people together kind of working off each other at minimum. And you do want to have that strategy of 2 different people interacting. So I'll tell you up front, this game probably is best played 2 or more players, or 2-handed as a solo player. I just think that's probably the better situation. But let's go back to the characters. So you have these different characters like this here, like Christine, and they have their own theme. They even have some stuff on the back to tell you about the character, but they all have their own different stats, and then also the way they fight in the game. So you'll have certain ones like Azrael, who's like your, like kind of shadow character and manipulates things. You have Christine, who's like a little bit more position heavy, and then she also has a thunder stab that she takes people out with. You have this guy, his name is Uziel. I don't know how to say his name, but this guy is also gonna have more movement, and he's also got fire. So they have these kind of themes that they start with, but we'll talk about how that develops over the game, whether you're playing skirmish or not. So let's just start with the skirmish mode. There are different, the board is set up with a whole bunch of different boards according to how many players there are, and then you also have this darkness area. Now, the darkness part is where the game really gets intense. What you're trying to do is stave off the darkness. You have these saints that are praying on the board, and you're trying to cut off the darkness, which is increasing every round, plus save these saints and keep them enlightened and keep them illuminated so that they don't also have the darkness spread. So the enemies are going to be trying to get to them, you're going to be trying to get to them, and then you're also trying to fight off these darkness cards that come every round, because every character, every angel that's part of it is going to add a card, and they start to trigger as you get past a certain amount. Now, also with a certain amount of angels, you're also going to have a certain amount of enemies, and there are definitely a broad arrangement of enemies that could pop up. You can do it randomly, you can choose them, and then you also have a final boss, which is a prince. Okay, so they even have their own cards, and you're going to add them and kind of make a little activation row. And then you also have your experience that you're going to earn during the game. Now, you start out in your heavenly area, and you come down to the city, and you have your board where you're going to fight at, and you're just taking turns. So you start out with the darkness phase where you start to add cards. You also have some effects that may take place. Some of these cards may trigger, and what happens is some of these do status effects. They cause damage right away. There are very few, but there are some that are good. There are some that complicate your actions. Maybe they add status effects like wither to you. They may also, manipulate certain dice results. They may allow you not to draw prayer cards, which are really good kind of not upgrade cards, but they're also kind of fun cards that help you with free actions sometimes, or give you alternatives to your other actions. So These are things that are going to get real pesky and they're going to get in your way, and they are either instant or they stack up, which is really really difficult because you don't know what they're going to look like. And then as you start to get more and more, they start to get going, and then when you have 5 of them, you actually start to take damage. So there's a lot of pressure on these cards alone, and I can't emphasize that enough. These darkness cards are nasty. They're really, really nasty. But anyways, you get out there, and once the darkness is done, then you start taking your turns, and you get 2 actions per angel. Now, you have your different stats for different angels, your different health, and these other different colors, we'll just say colors, and they have actions. So you're going to be taking free actions, and usually the movement is a free action, and then you also have another actions that you can start using with that. You kind of be playing with that, using your strategy to kind of get where you need to go. The really most important part of these is preparing for the enemy turns and also making sure you cover those saints up. And that's where the fun really starts, is how are we going to address certain enemies? Are we going to let this person get away with this? Are we both going to meet at the saints so we can keep them enlightened? Some enemies don't even allow that, so it's a little tricky on how you want to do that. And then there's also the routes that are built because of the tiles, and you can kind of play it where you don't know which tiles are coming out, so you definitely have this strategy also of what are we going to do when and if certain situations play out. You can even set your scenario where it's a little bit more heavy as far as the enemies go. And I should have said that before. When you're doing the skirmish thing, you can start adding the enemies to the enemies. You can add minor and major talents, which give them a little bit extra oomph when you're fighting them. So you'll be taking a turn, and then the enemy will take its turn, then the angel will be taking a turn, enemy takes its turn. So you're going to be having this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth going on during the game. But what happens is the enemy, when they take their turn, boy, do they get, it's pretty tough, okay? So depending if you want to amp them up, it gets pretty tough. So enemies on their turn, they're going to have like an instant action. Some of them will, basically add status effects. Some of them will move really far. They take really far, or they'll do like pluck damage. There's a bone archer that shoots arrows at you, and they will start to, kind of manipulate the battlefield. Now, once you add minor talents, those trigger off too. So you can they're going to add extra health, and they're going to add some conditions that may happen. So you have that on top of what they're going to do for the action. So in this game, you're going to be rolling dice. Okay, so for you have actions where you may roll dice for. There's a prayer action that you can do to roll dice and get cards. Okay, you can get prayer cards that will buff you. The enemy does a die roll to determine its actions for that enemy. So, if you have the archer, you're going to take, all the archers are going to take their turn, but they take their turn off of 1 die roll. So there's a little bit of swinginess in that sense, because you don't know what kind of attack is going to happen. And if you're up against it, an unlucky roll can end the game for you. The princes in this game really make the game. Now, the enemies are good, they're smart or whatnot, but the princes in the game really make the game. They're going to summon characters on there. They're going to add a whole bunch of status effects. They're going to stack up on shields. They have all these different techniques that they use that amplify their ability to get taken out quickly. And even though you're powered up, they're going to get powered up. They have their ways of powering up and creating situations for you too. And I'll talk about that when we get to the mission side. But once you're going back and forth, now it's your time to level up. And every time you defeat an enemy, you're going to get more experience. So as you get that experience, according to player count, you will move it back down and level up. And this is where the interesting part comes in, because remember what I said before, that your character is kind of set in the beginning? That's only in the beginning. Each character has 3 decks that are like their talents, and they can level up 1, 2, and 3, or they can go for the heavenly treasure. And the heavenly treasure is like buff armor. So you get like different armors and helmets and swords and shields and boots, and shoes to put on that add to your stats, give you extra bonuses. They set you up to make a different type of character every time, so you don't necessarily feel pigeonholed every time to the same type of character. That is a major, major plus in this game. Outside of the prince battles and the variation of the enemies to make the game tough, I think that's the biggest point of the game, is just feeling powered up when you're playing, especially in the skirmish mode where you just kind of get to it super fast. But that's the general gist of the game. And what you're really doing is when you get to the campaign mode, you are going through this story. So there's a kind of a story, you're going through the town, you're trying to figure out what is going on, why are people sad, why are people acting weird, and you're starting to fight these demons and different things and find out more information, and then you start to find out things about the place where you are. Let's just keep it there. Light spoilers, right? But as you go along, you're going to start to slowly gain XP and power up, and you'll have a sheet that you'll start marking things off on. Whether you win or lose, there's certain things that happen, but you're also gaining extra powers, so you can buff your powers as well. You have all different things that can kind of happen. You also can't just dig into your talent deck. You have to unlock those types of things. So it's a little bit more of a slow grind, but it's more earned. It feels like a campaign. It doesn't feel like a skirmish where you just have all these abilities and it's like, whoa. That's actually a good feeling to understand that, so that when you go, you kind of appreciate it when you get to the to the campaign. And let me just say this about the campaign. If you do want a little bit more leveled up version, they do have that in there, but they kind of suggest how you want to do it. So they'll say, hey, like, wait till you get through the campaign, get a little bit more buff, and then try the challenges as well. So if you're a veteran of the game, they have that in there too. The one thing I will say about this campaign part is that the story it's just not as good. It's just really not that good. I thought it was okay. I'm about halfway through it there. I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt because I'm just enjoying the experience of that campaign, the way it flows. And it's kind of fun to just check things off. As you get your armor, you feel like you're building something. They're getting stronger, they're getting better, and you can't wait to test them out on the battlefield. So that upward grind, it may be slow for some, but it feels like you're making good choices along the way. So if you're looking for a campaign game that's a little bit lighter on story, I think this may be for you. If you like a little bit more heavy narrative, that may be somewhat of a negative for you as well. I'm kind of in between, as you can tell, because I do like heavy narrative, but I don't need it in every game. It's gameplay over everything for me. But that's really the gist of the game. So let's just round all that up. I mean, I'm pretty much ranting through this game. But some of the things that I really I just thought were okay, like I said, the campaign game is that story part of it is just okay for me. I would have liked some more. There's actually some secrets in there that I haven't really got dug into. I don't want to share either. I just want to kind of be kind of general about that. There's the secrets in there. If you open the box, you'll see exactly there's a secret in there. Also the dice chucking is good. You know, there's high tests in the game. It's like 7+ tests for the game. Those are tough to always get. The enemies are also going to trigger kind of wildly based on those dice rolls as well. So you don't know what you're getting into, and the boss rolls can be really tough, really tough. This game can be really brutal, and there's nothing wrong with that if you're in for that kind of stuff. You don't mind the kind of back and forth of the kind of intensity of the game, but they kind of counteract that with just being a lot more leveled up very fast in the skirmish mode, at least. You're going to feel a little bit more in the campaign, like, ooh, boy, I don't know if I'm going to win here. That's probably good though, right? You know, like they hook you up for losing in that part. But I think that's generally it on the negative, that narrative campaign, and I also feel like the dice chucking can be a little unkind for you there. And there are different ways to kind of deal with that, but you start stacking up these darkness cards, man, and then you start adding on a couple bad dice rolls, you're up against it. You're up against it, and thankfully they do have a revive option that you can roll dice and get a revive, but I mean, it's still tough. But positives, starting with just a passion project turned into something very good. This game, is just really fun to play. It is not a waste of your time. You're talking 1 to 2 hours. You can get it done and have a game night and feel good about your game night in this game. You're going to get wildly overpowered. Like I said, Massive Darkness 2 is what I think of when I think of this game, because you're going to have a lot of action. You're going to be making a lot of choices. People are going to have big rolls, low rolls, and you'll be able to talk it out and recover from that. And the leveling up system in this game is fantastic. It is, I just can't stress that enough. I like the variety in the angels and the variety in the demons as well. It keeps things different. The variety in just being able to not feel like you're playing the same character, even if you did play the same character every time, just because you're building, and the level up system is very unique that way. I really enjoyed that. And then I like the enemies. And I like the fact that you can make them even more powerful, and they switch them up, and that stuff can be randomized. The enemies, even the bosses, can be, they have abilities you can add, major and minor talents just for them. They have their own battle cards, like they have their own darkness card that they add to it. So you always have these different kind of experiences every time you play, even with the exact same characters in play. That's a really strong point for this game. And testament to them, I feel like the game is balanced. So you can be awesome and still have a balanced experience. Great for me. I do like the fact that the playtime is not insane for a scenario. I'm feeling these games where you can play them like a little bit closer to a manageable time. But that's really it. That's kind of where I'm going to go with this game. I also do like the campaign. Like I said, I like that progression, that slow, earned kind of art to the game. But that's pretty much it. I want to give this game an 8. And I should suggest this. If you want some more gameplay, definitely check out the One Stop Co-op Shop's play of it. I may play it on the channel, but this game is really fun. I highly recommend it, and it will likely, it's touching, I'm having faith that this might be in my solo top 10 at the end of the year. It's just a really fun campaign game, and it's got that right weight that I enjoy. So if you have any questions about the game, let me know. Any comments, I love to hear from you, love to have your questions. And with that, party people, you take care and have a wonderful day. Make sure everybody has fun at the table. Take care.